Welcome to the Guntersville Grassroots podcast presented by Rec Lending. It's the first week of June. Trey is not here. Trey is fishing in the Keys, I think, somewhere in the saltwater. We swapped messages and he was out of town. Congratulations to Trey and his partner Logan Dyer for winning the Foodland tournament not long ago. He and I have joked since then that, and before, because he was on here and I said, hey, if you win casting and catching, you have to come back and do a podcast. Not that he wasn't going to anyway. And he won it. Him and Logan won that. And then we did the same thing and he won the Foodland. And congratulations to Alex Davis, who was on here on the last podcast and went and won the NPFL at Lay Lake on a Koike without scope. Funny thing is, I was normally ask people, hey, what's your opinion on the Koikes? I did not ask Alex because I forgot. And I texted him afterwards and I said, man, I'm glad I didn't ask you about that so you didn't have to lie to me. And he thought that was funny. So Trey seems to think that there's some kind of good luck charm going on with the podcast here. Maybe we're right. A couple people sent me messages. He goes, hey, I need to be on there with you before the next big tournament to see if it helps. So if you decide that's something you want to do, give me a shout before the next one. There's not a lot of big ones left, a few trails here or there. So it's June. It's getting hot. Take care of your fish. If you are fishing a tournament, please be mindful. Change the water, use the chemicals, use ice, however you see fit. There's a lot of different ways. The next real open tournament is coming up here in just a few days, and that is the Bull Shad Only tournament with no live scope out of Goose Pond that Mike Carter's putting on. And we're going to have Mike come on and talk to us a little bit, not just about the tournament, but about fishing a bull shad. Mike's been down and off the water a little bit because of a knee surgery, but he's caught more big fish on a bull shad than anybody I know. So maybe he'll drop us a few tips on the best way or what to look for with that. We're going to see if we can get Mike. We've got Mike Carter on here with us. If you don't know Mike, he's been on this podcast 2 or 3 times at least over the last 4 or 5 years. This is our 5th season, I think. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks a lot, Pat. I appreciate it, man. And hello to all the Bull Shad universe out there.
That's right. That's right. So again, if you don't know Mike, well, I don't know where you've been if you're paying attention to Guntersville if you don't know Mike, but Mike's been a guide around for a long time, and he's kind of slacked off guiding a little bit. He's doing some other things, semi-retired, still guiding a little, doing RV inspections. But what he has done last year and this year has had a Lipless Lures Only tournament that went off really, really well. Thank you for that. And then this year, just here in a few days, we're having a Bull Shad Only tournament. Now, Mike has probably sold more bull shads in North Alabama than anybody. And so it's just, I mean, you start getting pictures of 5 and 6 pounders with those bull shads in them. It's hard to not want to go buy one, even if they do cost 50 or 60 bucks. Yeah. I mean, us fishermen are stupid. They're paying $25 for a corky, or $25 is cheap for a corky. So, a bull shad should last longer than the plastic lure. So no corkies allowed in the bull shad tournament, strictly hard baits. So
yes, sir. Strictly hard baits. Yes.
So Mike, what I wanted to do with this was 2 things. I kind of want you to run through start to finish, registration stuff on the tournament you got going on this weekend. And then I want you, Mr. Bull Shad himself, to tell us what Mike Carter would do if he was going to win that tournament. Or try to win that tournament. So
absolutely,
Mike,
love to.
Just right now, let's start with your registration process. Here we are. I think it's just a few days before the weekend by the time I get this out, but hopefully some folks will listen to it and gain something out of it. So starting with your registration process, if you're wanting to fish on the Bull Shad Lures Only tournament, where do we go?
Well, you can call GTO, any one of the GTO locations, the one in Guntersville, the one at Waterfront, Goose Pond, and you can actually register, over the phone. There's no online registration, but you can call them and register over the phone. But as far as getting your boat number, your flight number, and everything, that's going to be strictly on Saturday evening, Sunday morning. So we're going to get there at 3:00 on Saturday, and you come in. Excuse me. If you've already registered, that's fine. But you come in as let us know that you already registered. We pull up your registration form. We go ahead and give you your boat number, your flight number, and that'll tell you what time you make your first cast, and then what time you're going to weigh in. And also, the earlier flights you're going to be in, the later you wait, you can wait and register Sunday morning. We're going to get there on Sunday morning at 4 o'clock, and you can register then if you want a later flight. Which, during the rattlebait tournament, we got flooded, that second morning because everybody wanted that later flight, which is fantastic. I don't blame them at all. It gives you a little bit more time fishing. But anyway, they come in on that morning for the later flight, and the registration fee is going to be $120. And I've had people ask me about the 120. Jen and I went over this 2 years ago, and I completely understand her outlook on this. $100 for the main part of the entry, but $20 goes on big fish, which also produces a very big fish pot, very very large big fish pot. But $20. I got tickled at her because she said we run out of tens. We have to go to the bank. We run out of tens. Next thing you know, we're going to bank again, getting more tens. And I completely understand that. So we kept it at 120 and putting that $20 on the big fish pot. And for the last two rattlebait tournaments, we had $2,500 for the big fish pot first place. I think it was $1,000 to $1,500 for second, and on down the line. And fifth place big fish pot was $250. Now on the main payout of the tournament, we were $5,000 first place, paying down, 30, 40, 50 places, whatever it was we paid. I don't remember what we paid this past year. But anyway, we have a very big payout especially the top 10 of this tournament. And, I'm trying to do the same thing with this Bull Shad tournament. And, I'd love to see that $5,000 first place prize come out again this time. I'm not sure how many boats, that'll be in this. This is uh, a new venue for this kind of a tournament. This is strictly Bull Shads only. You can use what really got this company started was an actual bull shad bait. This is a hard body swim bait, jointed swim bait. And they got the floating version, slow sink, the fast sink. And then you got your bull wakes, which has always been my signature baits of that bull wake. You got your bull gill, your bull rats, and then of course you've got my Buca's trick shad, that 6-inch trick, 6, 8, 10-inch. I'm sorry, 6, 7, 8-inch trick shad. And but those are the baits that'll be allowed in this tournament, and it doesn't matter what size. I have people call, they got the 4-inch version. Is that okay? Yes, that's fine. It doesn't matter the size of the bait, as long as it's that hard-bodied jointed swim bait that Mike Buca puts out.
And
So
that trick
that's
shad's a
kind of the
glide
rest
bait.
of it.
The trick shad's a
A trick
glide
shad
bait.
is a glide bait. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is a glide bait. Mike is actually going to be there. Mike Buca's going to be there Saturday evening, Sunday morning. I'm not sure if he'll stay for the weigh-in, and I'm sure it probably will. But I do know he's going to be there Saturday evening, Sunday morning, and he's bringing a lot of his glide baits and other baits, for the tournament also. So he'll be there to talk to people and present his baits out also.
Nice, nice. So one thing I wanted to ask, I know the answer, but I want to make sure everybody else does. You mentioned time to start fishing, so you can launch anywhere. There's not an official blast off, like a tournament from Goose Pond. Like you don't have to put in at Goose Pond and blast off in order. You can put in anywhere on Guntersville Lake, and you start fishing at your assigned time. Correct?
Exactly. Yes, you can put in any ramp you want to put in at. A weigh-in will be at Goose Pond. You will have a check-in at Goose Pond. We'll have someone down at the dock to check in. When you pull up, that way we can have your number checked in, and also there'll be someone in the parking lot. So if you go to another ramp, pull into the parking lot, you can check in there also. This will be a 3-fish limit. We cut back to 3 fish considering the time of the year and the water temperature. So if you are going to another ramp, don't be afraid to throw a few handfuls of ice in there on the transportation between the ramp and Goose Pond to try to keep those fish cool. Want to try to keep them alive. And, we've done we only lost 1 fish in 2 tournaments so far. The 2 rattlebait tournaments, we've only lost 1 fish. And now the Bull Shad tournament is going to be a little bit warmer of a temperature, but try to keep those aerators circulating and, try to take care of them. Try to keep the mortality rate down as much as possible if we can. So.
Yeah, that's great. I actually said something on here on my little intro beforehand. I'm like, hey, it's June. No matter what tournament you're fishing, please take care of your fish. It is the resource.
Exactly.
It's our responsibility to take care of it. So,
Exactly.
all right. So I think that kind of answers everything on this. What time is the weigh? What time does the weigh-in start?
Weigh-in's going to start at 2:00.
2:00. Okay.
I'm not sure yet what time I guess probably I want to say probably first cast is going to be 5:30. But right now the weigh-in is going to start at 2:00. We have 15-minute flights, and but the first cast is probably going to be 5:30. I'll have to look and see I've kind of been snoozing a lot here lately considering my knee, so I don't
Yeah.
sleep real good at night. So I've been kind of snoozing through. So I need to see what time it gets daylight to get an exact time to what time we might, get the first cast. It may be 5:15. It'll be 5:15 or 5:30, and we'll determine that by Friday when we make all the cards out. We'll sit down to get all the cards done for the flights and everything.
Yeah, I think sunrise is about 5:30, so you may be a little earlier than that. It may be more 5:15ish, but
Probably 5:15ish then.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
somewhere like that. I've got a little app on my watch that shows me, and I think it shows 5:33 today, and we're still getting longer till what, June the 20th. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
all right. I know you hadn't been fishing in a minute because you had knee replacement, but you might have spent a few hours on Guntersville in the last several years throwing a bull shad,
I've been on there a couple of times. Yeah,
particularly in June, particularly in June.
especially June.
So,
Especially June.
um, so if Mike Carter wasn't putting on this tournament and was going to fish this tournament, where would he start going looking for fish? I mean, I'm not talking like give a waypoint, but what is Mike Carter looking for an area to throw any of the bull shad? I know you like the wake, but any of those, what are you looking for?
Fish that are still in transition, both, we still, last year in June, Pat, we had a lot of fish that were pre-spawn in June. You know that yourself. We had fish that were spawning in June.
Yeah.
And we get out on the river edges and, we were catching fish that still, had eggs in them and had not moved up yet. And, we run into that every year. So that's one thing I like about fishing the river edges is you catch fish that are transitioning back out to the river and you catch fish that are still staging, trying to come up and go in. And, and the thing about these baits, it's not a bait to catch the numbers. It's a bait to catch, it's like I told a couple of gentlemen a couple of years ago that won I think it was the Fishers of Men tournament. I said, man, just put one rod in your hand. Throw this bull weight. You're not playing the game, from numbers. You're playing the game for 5 quality bites. You've got 8, 9 hours, or how long the time was to get 5 quality bites. And you put this bull weight, bull gill, bull shad, trick shad, any of those baits in your hand and really kind of know what you're doing with them, you're going to get those 5 quality bites. And this tournament being a 3 fish limit, that's the thing is if you keep this bait in your hand and you fish it long enough, you're going to get those bites. And it's you just cover those areas. And what I try to look for is these areas on these river edges, especially, they have some regularities in them. In other words, it's not just a straight river ledge. It may have something like a little depression. It may have something like a point that juts out. And, but those places that have those depressions where they have a little bit of a scattered grass, there's going to be some fish there. It's just the problem of, all right, do you come through right now? You come back later in the day. But that's kind of my main focus this time of year is just staying with those river areas and anywhere from mid lake south. I just cover as many river areas as I can. And, I don't finesse these baits. The only time I finesse them, if I'm fishing a lot of real shallow grasses scattered up on that surface, I may try to finesse them through that grass areas, whether it be the bull wake or bull gill or the bull shad. But most of the time, Pat, I'm torquing these baits. And I know you seen me here not long ago, right in front of you. You had no clue it was
Yes,
me.
yes, I did.
and I was burning that thing, man. I mean, I was burning it down, and I'll burn it down and give a real hard twitch to it, burn it some more, and give another hard twitch to it. A lot of people call me, man, I ain't caught a fish off this bait. Well, use it, and just if you throw it enough, you're gonna catch fish on it. But I think what I've learned taking clients out is they'll just barely reel it on the surface. They just want to reel it on the surface. No, you torque that thing. You may have to hold your rod up to torque it, but you torque that thing. Don't give fish time to think about it. And when they see this thing, they would have absolutely annihilated. And that trick shad I learned last year, I threw that glide bait a lot last year and had a lot of success on these river edges paralleling the river edge. And I'll get the boat in 10, 15 feet of water and throw that glide bait parallel with it. And once again, I get aggressive with it. I'm not, a lot of people work them like a spook. It's a twitch, it's a twitch, it's a twitch. I'll aggressively twitch it 5, 6, 7 times, extremely aggressively, and then I'll stop. And then I'll go back to a real aggressive twitching again, and I'll stop again. And 90% of the time when you stop, you'll be the rod took out of your hand.
Are you doing that more with your reel or with your rod tip for that little
rod
trick?
tip.
Yeah, for the
I'm
rod
holding
tip.
that rod down. If you do it with your reel, they stay too close to the surface. That glide bait does.
So you're more jerk
if you do it
baiting
with your reel, it stays. Yeah, that's the thing about using the reel. It just stays pretty close to the surface. But using that rod, it makes the twitches more aggressive. And I'm holding the rod down, and I'm just aggressively twisting it 5, 6, 7 times, and I just stop. But once you throw that bait parallel, like I say, the boat's going to be 10, 15 feet of water. You're throwing that bait in that 5, 6, 7, 8 foot depth. and you start just aggressively twisting, you're right there on the break line of that grass line, and those fish can't stand it. For one there, he can't stand it when that thing comes by aggressive like that, because it just, once you stop, they will just take the rod out of your hand when they hit that thing.
So you're not necessarily, for example, with your bull wake, I mean, you fish it almost like a -1,
Yep.
and it's just a big -1. But like you're not necessarily, the grass doesn't have to be a foot under the surface. I mean, your fishing area is 8-9 foot deep, and the grass is 3 or 4 foot tall, right? I mean, you're not concerned about ticking the top of the grass necessarily.
No, that's that's why I also judge that. He's talking about keeping the bait up. When I'm fishing areas that's got grass up, 2 or 3 feet down underneath the surface, and the water's 6, 7, 8 feet deep right there, I want to hold that rod tip down with that bull wake, and I want to reel it, twitch, reel it, twitch. I want to give it that little bit of a twitch, and no matter which one of these baits that I use, I want to put that twitch to it, and it's not a light twitch; it's a hard jerk. I mean, I just a real hard jerk, and it gives it that little bit of a pause. And I use all these baits that way, and the trick shad included, the bull shads included. You got to get that little bit of aggressive. It's not just like reeling it in, just hoping for the best, see if they're going to hit it. No, you got to give it some action. And the deeper your grass, the more you're going to hold your rod down and torque it that much more, and to give it that much more of a erratic action with that twitch.
So sort of like the pop of a rattle trap in the spring, like you're reeling that thing
Exactly.
along, and you hit a little something, you want to give it that little jerk. You're really sometimes doing that to trigger a bite.
Yeah, exactly. Doing the same thing. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, all right.
Yeah,
So
but that's the thing, a lot of people, they just when they get these baits, they thinking, wake baits are gonna reel it slow. Even the bull shad are gonna reel it slow. You gotta put some action into them. You gotta give them a reason to come and look at it. And, if you reel them fast enough, and, I'm not reeling just absolutely torque wide open. I'm used about a medium to a slow, fast retrieve. I don't reel them slow. I don't use them slow. I use that medium to fast retrieve, and I've got to put that twitch into it, that real hard jerk. Because if you don't put that hard jerk into it, yeah, sometimes it's still going to work okay, but most of the time it's going to do a lot better when you put that hard jerk into it.
you are throwing that on 20-pound fluorocarbon mostly,
Yes, 20-pound Fisher's Pro Elite fluorocarbon.
like a 7-to-1 type reel ratio, or do you use something a little
Yep,
slower, 7-to-1?
yep, 7 to 1, 7 to 1 gear ratio
Yeah.
with a 777 heavy action rod.
So okay, so the pretty stiff outfit. So,
Yeah.
have you fished them much around? And the reason I asked this is because I saw a bunch of that a week or so ago. Have you fished them around like deep bluegill beds and stuff much? There's still actually a fair amount of bluegill that were coming up spawning at least a week ago. But have
I've
you?
tried that, Pat, and I've caught some. I don't know. It's not consistent. That's why I stay with that river more.
Yeah.
I've tried these bluegill beds fishing for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason would be, but these fish they just don't want to eat it. I've tried both the bull shads, the bull gills, and I've caught fish doing that. It's just not consistent. But
Mm-hmm.
I get out on that river. I may even fish the river flat. If I see a river flat that's got a lot of scattered grass, even though it may be fairly deep, a lot of scattered grass that I can see up underneath the surface, I'm on that flat. I may not be on the river edge. I may be up on that flat. So, but once again, you're playing that game for, especially in a tournament, you're playing the game for 5 bites, or this tournament 3 bites. So when I got clients with me, I try to stay with that river more. I mean, I had a client last year, Pat, had never fished, and took a spinning rod, and I put a bull wake on a spinning rod for him
Mm.
with 30-pound braid. He ends up catches 1/6, catches 2/4. He had an unbelievable blast that day. And but that just shows you what that bait can do, even with a dang spinning rod. I had a 7.6 spinning rod, a heavy action spinning rod, throwing it on 30-pound braid, and man, he was having a blast. He was loving it.
So do you find that with those river fish that you can catch a fish in an area and turn around and come back through there and catch another one, or do you just keep the trolling motor going? And if you were fishing a tournament, like I mean, do you find they kind of group up where you can find them, or do you really just keep covering water?
I mostly just keep covering water because I've found when I catch one or two in an area, yes, there's a couple there. I'll go ahead and just keep covering water, but most of the time I'll come back to that area to hit it again. Because there's a reason why those one or two fish are hanging there,
But you give it time to
and
reload. You don't just sit there
give it
and bait
time to
on it.
reload.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
And,
Um, But
So,
yeah, that's one thing I like about that, fishing that river. Now, when I'm fishing that river, I mentioned a while ago, I'm keeping that boat 10, 15 feet of water. I'm only doing that when I'm fishing parallel.
mhm,
If I'm fishing these river flats and bringing them off to that river edge, I'm keeping the boat around that 20, 25 foot range. So because the majority of your fish this time of year, Pat, will hang off of that edge. And if you're fishing a bull wake, bull gill, or a bull shad, you're throwing up on the flat, bringing it out and letting it come off of that edge. And they'll come up out of that 10, 15, 20 feet of water straight up and engulf that thing.
mhm.
But with that trick shad, I'm up against the edge of it with that trick shad. I'll throw that trick shad parallel with the edge of it. But I like to set out in 20, 25 feet of water when I'm throwing a bull wake, bull gill.
So is it just a daylight thing, or can you catch them all day?
Absolutely not. I'd rather put the boat in at 9 o'clock in the morning so
Would you?
as fish in
Okay.
the middle of the day. They will. I mean, I did a trip last year, and a guy called me. He said, "Do you think we can catch them when you have a meeting at 12 o'clock?" I said, "Absolutely." And they ended up catching. His son caught one over 7 that day, and he caught. I don't know. He caught several 3 and 4s that day, and that's putting the boat in at 12 o'clock in the day. You know how Guntersville is. You know how it's like 12 o'clock. It's like you flip a switch on. I
Yeah,
get they
9 to
start.
12 can be
It's
kinda rough, but 12 to 2 is pretty
yep.
good.
Yep.
Uh, that's, I don't know what else you can ask for, Mike. I mean, you pretty much told us, right? I mean, there's a lot of miles of river out there, and it's just one of
Yeah,
those
there
you
is.
just
Yeah, there
gotta,
is.
particularly when you look at the riverside and the backside, and, yeah, I mean, there's edges and holes and
Yeah.
keep your trolling motor on and cover water.
That's the main thing, just keeping that trolling motor on. Another thing I want to say is I've had several people reach out with texts and questions and everything, about the tournament and all that. Man, don't hesitate at all to call, text, message me, whatever you need to do to if you got any questions about the tournament all the way up to the tournament. I have no problem with that at all. I mean, that's what I'm here for, to answer questions for people now. As far as I get a lot of people all the time where I need to go, what I need to do. I know that's kind of something to try on your own, as far as figuring where to go. I spilled a lot of beans just now, just trying to help people out as much again. This right here is very informative as far as what you need to look for, as far as the things that try to help you out in the tournament. And but I get people all the time, man, where do I need to go? Well, I get a lot of clients that I've had in the past. Now, I'll help out my clients because you've hired me in the past.
Sure.
But this I get a lot of people ask where I need to go, what I need to do to help me out, and I'll help them out. I have no problem with that. I'll tell them, this is what you kind of want to look for. I don't get into to absolute details over it, but I will definitely give some information to help people out, steer them in the right direction.
So how much do you look for big gizzards and stuff like that jumping around in the grass when you're out? I mean, obviously it's not a negative thing, but I mean, is that a deal breaker for you if you're not seeing any bait?
Yes, it is. If I pull up an area and I'm not seeing no activity at all, I'll still give it a few minutes of fishing. But that's the first thing I start talking about. Well, listen, we're not getting no activity here. We may need to move somewhere else. And I've run into with these dead calm days. It's when they're dead calm, no current, no nothing going on, and that's when I like that trick shad and getting it up against the edge and just getting real aggressive with it with deep. I've had days when it's just dead calm, 1,000 gnats in your face, and well, let me rephrase that: a million gnats in your face,
That may
and
be conservative.
exactly, and taking that trick shad and just dead calm and no current, just running it down, and man, I tell you, they will eat that thing. But
Interesting.
it's just another one of those baits you just got to keep in your hand and keep using it because it's not something you're gonna catch a lot of fish on. I'm hearing people tell me there's a lot of fish schooling right now, and I think that trick shad will come in fantastic with them schooling because throw it out there and let it sink, get it down below the main schooler and get down where the bigger fish are.
Right.
And
Oh, you made me think of something just because you're talking about schooling. No live scope in this tournament, but just as simple as remove your graph, right? Like get to
exactly.
okay. All right.
Yeah. Now I've told people that they've asked me, does that mean we got to take it off our boat? No, I'm not going to ask you to take your unit off your boat. I mean, a lot of people have them mounted to where it's a little bit difficult to get them off the boat. Don't take the unit off the boat, but we're basing this upon trust. That's why we're letting people launch at different rounds. We're going to trust the fact that you're going to use bull shad baits. We're going to trust the fact that you're not going to use live scope. You can use 360 or your regular sonar and stuff, but side image and everything, but just no live scope. And let's just try to keep this thing on an even playing field and just have fun with it. And like I say, we're basing it upon trust. We're trusted when you're going to another ramp, you're going to Lake Guntersville ramp somewhere. And We just want to have another fun tournament like we've had for the last two rattlebait tournaments, and see how this is. If this is going to be if this one turns out great, then we're going to have it a yearly deal. We're going to do it every year.
Yeah, and well, I'm planning on being there. I chickened out of the lipless one earlier this year because I don't like the rain very
Because of
much,
the weather.
and yeah,
You
I
have no idea. I bet you we lost probably 40, 50 boats in that rattlebait
I
tournament
kind of
because of the
regret it.
rain.
I kind of regret messing it, but I don't like cold and rain. Warm and rain, I don't like rain, but although rain in a bull shad might not be a bad deal, but
Exactly, exactly.
but the problem with rain this time of year is it normally involves lightning. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I'm planning to come play with you a little bit on that one, and probably
That's great.
just donate. I hadn't even hardly been fishing, but anyway, it'll be fun and something a little different. So
Absolutely. I think it'll be a real fun. I debated on doing this thing last year, and I just couldn't get everything together to get it done. And it's kind of on me. It's like trying something new like this. A lot of people just not too fond of the bull shad, but yeah, I had so many clients that this past or last year. I'm sorry, I had so many clients last year during the late spring and summer. Man, you ought to put on tournament. You ought to put on tournament. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it this time, just see how it works out. And I think it's going to be a good deal. Mike Buca, boy, he was all excited about it. He's coming there and he's shared it to all his sites and all the different websites that he's on. And I think it's going to be a great deal. It's going to be fantastic. I know some people that are coming out of state to fish this thing, and I think it's going to be a dang lot of fun, man.
yeah, that's a good deal. Well, Mike, I certainly appreciate the
Also, I
info.
want to mention
Oh,
to you also now we got, Monty Knight he stepped up the thump jail. He's going to contribute again. Dale McVeigh of G Sox, he has stepped up and he's going to contribute again. And Chamber of Commerce, and they've come through also. So we got a lot of people that's really coming up to try to help out with this thing, trying to make it a success.
that's good. And I'm glad to hear you've got people trying to help support it. Hopefully, we get a great turnout, and I really appreciate you coming on. And I will see you Saturday afternoon.
Fantastic, Pat. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Have a good one. Thanks to Mike Carter for coming on and talking a little bit about that. I mean, he kind of pretty much spilled the beans on how to catch them on a bull shad. The rest of it's just up to some time on the water. My guess is it'll be 3 fish in the 15 to 16 pound range, pending weather. I meant to ask him and I forgot. It's too late. He's gone. Anyway, if you're looking for something different to fish, you really don't have to have a bunch of them. Go buy one or two. Guntersville Tackle will have what you need, and it sounds like Mike Buca may be there selling some as well. Goose Pond, 3 o'clock that afternoon to get you registered up. You can call and get your name on the list, or you can take care of that when you show up at the registration to get your boat number. Until next time, enjoy the floating grass.